Hello, my name is Brant. Tonight is the 15th day of September 2020. My address is to men. The title of my speech tonight or talk is Men, Where Are You Today? Yes, where are men? The women are wondering, where are you? Where exactly are you? Most men are they're not even pursuing anything spiritual. Most men are pursuing many interests that are not leading to growth in their lives. They're pursuing things that are petty. Many are seeking these things because they've even given up on life, or they have experienced traumas in their life and they're not willing to deal with those traumas. Maybe to do with family issues, alcohol, drug related. It's not enough as men, it's not enough to provide a paycheck. It's not in a relationship with a woman. It's not. Women have been under attack, spiritual attack, for the last couple thousand years, if not longer. Men are under attack in the last probably a couple hundred years here, especially since the Industrial Revolution. I was reading a story. It was heartbreaking to think about this, as there were railroad workers back in the 1800s that were out west. Many of these men were married, but were trying to earn money for their families. And many of these men were involved in brothels with pornography, with having sex with another woman they didn't even know. So they were no longer faithful to their wives. It was shamed by the communities, certain communities that didn't want these things there. Shamed by the church also, but it didn't seem to discourage men or women in what they did. I don't know who to blame. As a man, I don't blame the women. I blame the men in this area. If you were to be faithful with one woman, you might be surprised that if you find a good woman, and you can find a good woman in the past, that would provide you with encouragement, the ability to have confidence in yourself, which is what women can do for most men. Most successful men, is because there's a woman behind them who inspires a man to pursue his dreams. Today is, I can recall, as a young boy, going in a bathroom, and you could actually see what they call peep shows type of thing. You pay some kind of money to watch something. There was other things that were there for having sex as a boy. Never messed with it. Thought it was pretty foolish in many ways. I never understood why. Truly, I did. Why did men want see naked women in books or magazines. I guess part of it has to do with my growth and being in a church, but not only that, most people in the church are involved in pornography far more than people realize. I worked for a guy for a short period of time, part-time, and most pastors had pornography all over their computers. Really. I'm not saying every pastor does, but I know that at this particular company I worked for a short period of time, 6 months, most of it was to do with pornography, and it was with preachers. Even the guy I worked for, he told me that, but I saw, I didn't see it, but I saw what had to be taken off because it was a spyware type of deal, malware, to get on computers and basically keep prompting people to pop up, keep popping up, pornography. So I'm asking you, when are the real men going to wake up today? There can't be any more excuses, folks, especially men. And I'll share one more other thing about pornography. And I've done a thing also on pornography. I'm going to tell you something clearly here, folks, and it's very clear. If you mess with pornography, you're going to pay dearly. The woman who does these things is one thing, yes, and she destroys her own soul by doing that. She does it because she thinks part of it could be because of family life. She's been forced in this. Other reasons simply is that she needs money, so she does this. She thinks it's real love at first, and then realizes it's not. It becomes an occupation, simply just to have money to put food on the table for herself or for her kids, supposedly. That is her kids. Not supposedly, she has kids, I'm sorry. But if men would stop this, wouldn't do this, it would stop dead. It would. There wouldn't be any customers, you see. Men would grow up and stop being a little boys and be truly men, that they would honor their woman instead of quote unquote sneaking around. And most of us now is on the internet, You know what it does to a man? It does that. I'll tell you what it does. You're no longer there with your wife, guys. You're not there. You're elsewhere. So the whole idea of lovemaking is that it becomes mechanical. And your wife's not stupid. They pick up on that real quick. Okay? You destroy something that's real. You have a relationship with a woman. You promise to be true to them. And so you choose something that's not real love. And it doesn't really satisfy. And eventually, if men do this so many times, they no longer know how to really truly love a woman. Really. They lose the ability to be there in the moment. They become mechanical. And your wife or your girl that lives with you knows it. There's no excuse. Even if you have a bad woman, she treats you wrongly, doesn't always, it comes from some issues here And if you can work those things out, you truly could have what I call intimacy. But intimacy is not the sexual act. It's the what I would call the cherry on top of ice cream, per se. If you don't have intimacy before then, you're not going to have intimacy in the bedroom. It just doesn't work that way, guys. It doesn't. Most of you guys are trying to get to third base and you haven't even gotten to first base. And most of you guys have, I would say, I'm not here to jump all over men. That's not the whole idea. What I'm saying is simply you need to man up. You need to be a true man. You need to be a leader. And you need to be a leader in your family more than anything else. You need to stop being a little boy. Yes, some of you grew up in those type of families, broken homes. I grant you that. I came from a broken home somewhat myself. My parents separated. Now, my parents were not into drinking and getting the drugs and all that stuff. They weren't that type of people. But my parents did separate 3 times. And the oldest child, as me, felt what I would call insecurities because of that. My brother was completely opposite. He just pretended it was not taking place, so he just covered it up. It'd go away. So see that. And I'm not saying I've had a bad life, because I haven't. And why am I not married now? I chose to wait. I chose to find the right person. I may never find the right person. If that happens, it happens. But I'm using my gift. I'm sharing what I know. I'm counseling people. I'm using my gifts to help others. And I love doing it. I love to help people. I love to communicate. It's part of my personality. It's part of me, basically, if you think about it. What irritates me is that, just to give you an idea, is that, when you get to a stoplight, or you're going to turn to the stop sign, why don't you use your signals? Communicate. Communicate. That's a part of communicate, just a very simple way. When you come to a stop sign, no one knows what you're going to do unless you give a signal. Now, naturally, you're not going to use a signal to go straight. But if you use a right signal or a left signal, that tells people that you're going to not go straight, you see. But that's the problem. People are lazy. They don't want to communicate on a very small area of life. Very simple. So if you can't do those things, how in the world are you doing other things that are much harder? That's what Scripture says. How can I trust someone if you can't do the small things, as Jesus explained? How can you do the big things? The proving ground is when you do the small things, then you can move up to the bigger things. If you can't do the small things, how in the world are you going to do the big things? Because you can't. You don't have the confidence. You don't have the experience, and so you can't. You can't. So here's the crux. Are you going to continue to make excuses for your family on what's happened to you? Are you going to, in other words, you're going to make excuses? Well, I didn't have a good family or whatever, and so I'm going to play around and be a boy instead of a man. You're going to let that keep you from growing up? Are you going to keep that? Are you going to let that be a stumbling block in your life? Are you content to be mediocre? To settle for, the middle of the pack? Or even further in the pack? Men? There are some incredible women that I've spoken of in another video I did tonight that have helped me. They need good men. Okay, I mean, I'm not them, but generally women need good men. Bring about stability in the family. Most women are not. I'm not saying they're not leaders. That's not what I was saying. But most prefer that the man make some of the decisions. Okay, guys? Pick up the ball and run with it. But if you don't have any experience in doing that in the little things, how in the world are you going to be able to do the big things? You see? I'm not saying, how would I say this? I'm seeing what I call the men who just simply are just, they don't want to grow up. I watched a guy, it just blows my mind. You see this in the South. And I grew up wanting to play sports, and I played basketball when I was in junior high school. And I was decent. But I was in a private school, so I was in a small school. I wanted to play football more than anything else, but the problem was that I was too small, too thin. I did have some speed, but was told right off that, I transferred here from a smaller school from North Carolina, that they didn't know who I was. They didn't even open up the door for me just to try out. And so, I don't know where I was going with this story, but we always somehow, things don't work out. And we also have to man up and pick up the ball. That's what I was going to do simply. So you need to pick up the ball and run with it. And you got to believe in yourself, man. You got to say simply is that, I'm capable of doing this, and I'm going to do this. And there's no copping out. There's no wimping out, such and such. No. You need to learn how to lead. That means simply this, that you communicate with your woman and you find out her opinion on certain issues and what she feels is important. And then you explain your point of view if it's different. And you talk back and forth, and then the point simply is you eventually make the decision, whatever's going to happen. You cannot depend upon her being always the one who is going to agree with you, because she may not agree with you. She may see things differently. Oh yeah, I know what I want to talk about. Yes, the guy I saw on this football deal has spent tons of money. Men do this in the South with college football. And so what they do is he's got all this equipment in his backyard in a what do you call it? It's not a small house. It's a little, big enough for a kitchen area. And he does video shows there about college football. And there's nothing wrong with that. But could that money have been used better instead of splurging on that? I see men do some crazy things. A lot of them just play games over and over again, day after day. They don't pursue anything. They give up. They make poor financial decisions. Usually it's about wants instead of needs. That's not good for a family, guys. Wants never come in front of needs. Needs always are more important. Also, men, it doesn't solve the problem a lot of times. Simply is going out and spending money you don't have and getting in debt with credit cards. Doesn't solve the problem either. I know it's harder now than it ever has been probably for men. As an 18-year-old kid, got a job pretty easily, went to school full-time and worked full-time. Second shift work, first shift going to school. Plenty of energy. I couldn't do that now. Although I know that simply when I took classes in seminary, I was more focused and was there with the work, so I understood that part. So instead of when I was in college, my focus was two different areas, so I would not give, my total 100%. But men, you got to step up. You got to be leaders. You cannot be afraid of a woman. You can't hide behind a woman. You've got to lead. Sure, you get her opinion about things. That's the right way, the way to do it. Of course that. But you don't do it the other way. You don't just simply rule over her. You don't simply, oh, your opinion doesn't mean anything. You're a woman. No, guys, it doesn't work that way. You see, you are equal to a woman. Did you hear me? You're not better than a woman. So you're not superior to a woman. You may do things better than women do in certain areas. And you're not inferior to a woman, neither. So you may be able to, cut the grass and do all kinds of hard work that require manual labor. But are you able to think on your own? You'll be able to lead the family, to share with your kids, to truly show love and affection to your kids, and to be there in the now with them? Or are you copping out? And the alcohol stuff, guys, it's got to stop. It's got to stop. You can't, guys, you can't drink all the time. You can't. You got to toss it. You got to stop it. You're not there when you're in the alcohol. You're pretending. You don't want to face the responsibility of being a man, so you choose to cop out. And what you do is you get drunk. And then you say things you have no business saying to someone else. And demeaning, putting your woman down when you're the one that's got the problem. And you can't look at the past and say, excuse me, I had a father such and such that was this way. He was a drunk. So what? So what? So you're going to let that be a crutch? Or are you going to man up? Do you understand what alcohol is? It's a spirit. And it will consume you. And eventually it will kill you. It will destroy your liver. And you basically, in a lot of ways, will not even be, you're not even aware what's going on half the time because you simply don't want to face reality. You got to face reality, folks. You got to. So man up. Be the man you're supposed to be. If you can't be a man and be there for her, you don't have any business basically to get married. You don't. You don't have any, you can't, if you're going to be a drunk or you're going to be into drugs and you're going to cause your wife to be having to do everything, you're not manning up. You're not giving your 50% within the relationship. You're not even giving that part 50%. You should be giving 100% But most men are not even giving that. You know why women nag men? Because they don't lead. They don't do what they say they're going to do. That's why they nag them. If you say you're going to do something, do it. Don't make excuses. Do it. Well, I'm not here to chastise men, but I am telling you this. You need to man up. You need to grow up and no longer be boys. You need to be men. And you need to dig into spiritual things. You need to lead. You don't need to sit on the sidelines. You need to be in the game of life. And that's what it's all about. Okay? So, I appreciate your attentiveness, and I sincerely hope that men will hear this and man up. Thank you.